Hello everybody, it's Miss Krista. I'm back here at Riverside Art Studio with another at-home art lesson for you guys. Today we're going to be making an art project that is all about community. Now, community is just a place where people live and work. And there's all different types of communities. There are urban communities, there are rural communities, there are suburban communities, and there are communities where people live, where people work. It's also where people go to school and where people shop and do the things that they need to do in their every day-to-day lives. So today, to make our community project, we're gonna think about, first of all, what kind of community we would like to make. Now, I am gonna be making a community that is inspired by the place where my art studio is, which is in this cute little downtown area where we have restaurants and we have shops. So I thought it would be fun to make a little downtown area a little bit inspired by where I live and work. So for this project, we have some blocks of wood in some different sizes. Some are a little bit thicker, some are a little bit skinnier, just like different types of buildings. We can have them go this way or this way, but we just have a variety of blocks of wood. We also have some paint. So I have acrylic paint in the primary colors. I have red, yellow, blue, and I have some white in case I want to mix them up. I have a paper plate for mixing colors and a paintbrush. I also have some glue and a glue brush. I have some scraps of paper just cut into squares and rectangles for making doors and windows. I have some plain and I have some that are made out of pattern paper. I have a Sharpie marker, and I also have some peg people because in a community you need some people. So that's all the materials that we are going to be using today. So I'm just gonna get my stuff set up and I will show you how to get started. Okay, so I'm ready to create my first building. I've got my block of wood right here and I've got some paint on my plate and I want this building to be green. So I'm gonna mix up some green. So over here I've got yellow and blue and some white because I'm gonna add a little white to make it a little bit of a lighter green. So to mix green, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my yellow paint. I'm gonna put some right over here to the side. I'm gonna get just a little bit of blue paint and I'm gonna mix them together. And you can see that I'm starting to get green. Now I'm happy with that, except I just wanna lighten it up a little bit. So I'm gonna get a little bit of white and I'm going to mix that in. Now that's a little bit too light. So we'll get a little bit more yellow, touch more blue, mix it all together. And now I'm happy with that color. So now that I'm happy with that color, I'm making sure that I have enough to paint this whole block. So I think this is pretty good. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm just gonna start painting it. I'm gonna start with the front. I don't want it to be super gloppy. So I'm really just spreading it out. You'll notice I also have a piece of paper underneath here. That's just to protect the table, because when you're painting something like three-dimensional, like a block of wood, we're gonna need to be like turning it around. So it's good to have something underneath in case you get any paint on the table. Okay, so I'm just gonna paint this side. Around. This side. I'm starting to run a little bit low on paint, so if that happens, just need to mix a little bit extra. Okay, so I've got all the sides and then the top of my block painted. I'm gonna let this sit and dry before I paint the other side. So while I'm waiting for this to dry, I can go on and mix up some colors and paint my other buildings. And then I can also go wash my hands. Okay, so now I've got my other buildings painted. So now I'm ready to just paint the other side. So as these are drying, they could stick to the paper a little bit. All you need to do is just kind of gently peel this off if they stick. Okay, we're gonna flip it over. I'm just gonna paint this other side. Again, nice and smooth. You just want to kind of smooth it out. All right, and now I just need to wait for this to dry. So I'm waiting for this to dry. I'm gonna paint the other sides of my other blocks, let them sit for a little bit until they're dry enough so that I can move them around. And then I'm ready to start working on my windows and doors next. Okay, so now I've got my block of wood all painted on all of its sides. So I'm ready to start adding in some details. So I've decided that I'm going to make this block of wood into a bike shop for my little downtown area. So I have to decide whether I want to make my building a little bit taller and thinner or a little bit shorter and wider. Either way works, but I think for this one, I'm gonna make a shorter, wider building because I'm gonna turn this into a bike shop. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create a window for my shop. So I've got some scraps of paper here. I think this would make a good shape for my window, and this would make a good shape for my door. In this window, I want to kind of show that this is a bike shop, so I'm gonna draw a bike inside the window. So I'm gonna use my Sharpie to do this. Remember, Sharpie is a permanent marker, so you need to be a little bit careful with this. Again, I still have my paper underneath, so I'm not worried about marking up my table. I'm gonna draw myself a bike. Now, I'm not the best at drawing bikes, but whenever I have something and I'm not really sure how to draw it, I either look at a picture and draw it, or I just try to remember its parts. So that's what I'm gonna do right here. So I know that each bike has 2 wheels, so I'm going to start by drawing 2 circles. Thicker for the tires. Okay, and in the center of each circle, we have the little center part with the spokes coming out. Okay, now every bike has handlebars and they're connected to the front wheel. So I'm just gonna make a little line right here, and then I'm going to make a little U shape for my handlebars. And then in the back, we need a seat. So I'm just gonna draw a little shape for the seat. I'm using this oval. I'm gonna connect this to the back wheel. And then I wanna connect the front and back. So I'm gonna make a little line here. And I could stop there, but of course we need pedals. So I'm just gonna make a little pedal. And then this is gonna be connected to the back. That's the chain. And we have this little V here. And there's my bike, I'm pretty happy with it. Maybe I'll add some hand grips. Maybe there's a little light right there. Okay, so now I'm going to glue that onto my building. So I have over here my glue with my brush. So let me just flip this over. Just gonna apply some glue all over the back. Okay, I'm gonna get close to the edges so that my corners don't stick up too much. I don't wanna make it gloppy by the edges because it will ooze out. There is my window. Now this is gonna be my door, so I'm gonna put that right there. So let me just put some glue on the back. Flip this over. And then maybe I'll make a little doorknob here. Maybe I'll make a little open sign right on the door. Okay, and then the last thing that I need is I need a sign at the top. So I could cut out another piece of paper or use a scrap of paper, but for this one, I think I'm just gonna draw it directly on the block of wood. So it's gonna be a bike shop, so I'm just gonna write. And maybe I'll make a little rectangle around it. Maybe I'll make it a little bit fancy. I'll do a little zigzag line around the edges. Draw attention to it, and there we go. All right, so now I'm just gonna continue on with all of my other blocks, and I will show you what I come up with when I'm finished. Okay, so I finished the rest of my shops for my little downtown community, so I just want to show them to you here. I've got a little pet boutique. Since I made this a taller building, I added a second floor with some windows, so I drew a little dog and a cat up there, my little door, an awning over the top, and the window with the pet boutique sign right on the window there. I've got a florist, again, door, window, and then some upstairs, maybe some little apartments are up there, or maybe that's just the second floor of the flower shop. We've got a toy store. I drew some little teddy bear silhouettes in there with the toy sign so people know that it is a toy store, and then of course my bike shop. Okay, so now that I have my buildings done, I'm ready to create some people to hang out in my community. Okay, so I've got a little peg doll here that I'm going to turn into a person to kind of hang out in my downtown community. So the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm going to use my Sharpie to create a face. So I'm just gonna figure out what part I want to be the front. I think it's gonna be right there. And I'm gonna make this pretty simple. I'm just going to do 2 eyes and a smile. And then I'm gonna add some hair. So maybe I'll do, I don't know, I think I'm gonna do some curly hair. Go right along the edges and the back. It's a little tricky to draw on a round surface sometimes, so you just want to take your time. All right, so there's our hair, and I'm gonna go in and just make some little curly cues in here. Maybe I'll just kind of go like this to fill it in. Of course, if I was making straight hair, I would be making straight lines, but since I'm making curly hair, I'm just gonna make some curly lines. Okay, so our head's all done, so now we are ready to create the body. So again, you could just use your Sharpie to maybe draw like patterns, but I wanna add some color. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, back to my paint. I'm not mixing color for this one. I'm just gonna dip my brush right into the paint. And I'm just gonna paint the bottom. Now if it comes out super gloppy like that, then you know you don't need to dip it again. We're just gonna use this brush to spread it. And if it's too much, maybe I'll just wipe this extra off on my paper towel. Just go like this. You can see that I'm holding my doll from the top and the bottom here so that I can just kind of turn my hand around and paint it all around. Might get a little bit on my fingers, but that's okay. Art is supposed to be messy, and we can always wash our hands when we're done. Try to get all the edges here. All right, and there she goes. She's all done. So now I am just going to stand her up like this and just leave her like that to dry. Okay, everybody, so I am finished with my project and I'm really happy with it. I have all of my buildings here, my little shops. I've sort of arranged them the way that I want them to be for now. My peg doll is dry, so she is ready to go shopping, and she has her little child, her little baby with her that she can take maybe to the toy store. And so we are all finished. So I hope you guys had fun. I hope you made a really super interesting community. And if you have made one and you can take a picture and post it and tag me, I would love to see it. I hope you guys had lots of fun, and I will see you again soon.